Hey guys, I'm back again. Yes, I'm wearing the same thing because it's filming day, okay? So I'm here today to talk about my March books, what I read in March. It's my March wrap up. I thought, yeah, March was, it did pretty good, you know? I can't complain. So let's get started and you can see what I read. I mean, like, I didn't read tons of books, but what I did read was excellent. And I ain't complaining, you know. The idea is to read good books, no matter if you read, 20 or 10 or 5 or 100. It'd be better to read mostly excellent books than to read only mediocre ones. So let's get started. So the first book I'm going to talk about, because I have them right here on the side, is this one right here, which is In the Palace of Flowers by Victoria Princewell. Okay, now, y'all have a look at Victoria Princewell. Like, she got it going on. All right, this is a very, very interesting book. It discusses slavery in the 19th century through two characters. We have Jamila, who is a slave in this palace of the Shah in the 19th century, and her good friend who is called Abu Malek, who is a eunuch who is also serving in the palace. Now, this book right here is so good. I mean, it has everything because it gives a story about slaves, but in a different way. So I would say sex, lies, and power grabs. Okay, those are the three words. And we see here how within this palace, which is nothing more than a small, tight-knit community, and how everybody has their function in the hierarchy. And we see how when people try to grab power, no matter how low down on the spectrum they are, it's not easy and things don't always go as planned. So this one is very interesting, but not only that, the writing is phenomenal, and especially her dialogues. And let me tell you, you're going to be Googling as you read along, because there are people in this book, they're real people. And that I love in historical fiction novels, is when the writer actually romanticizes real people and puts it into the fiction novel. It's still literary fiction, but those real people are there. And a fantastic read. I highly recommend it. Bravo, Cassava Republic, you've done it again. Okay, next book on my list is Daughters of the Stone by Dalma, Lanos, Figueroa. This book is another book that is flown clear under the radar, just like In the Palace of the Flowers. This is a story of 5 generations of women and a stone. All I gotta say is black girl magic personified, okay? This was interesting to read because it's Afro-Puerto Rican fiction, and it deals with all of the sort of religious and mystical aspects of Afro-Puerto Rican literature and culture. And through the novel, you'll learn a lot about these particular beliefs. But not only that, you follow these extraordinary stories of these 5 different women who have 5 totally different personalities. But not only that, they have 5 completely different gifts. And it's interesting to read how with each woman, when they get their gifts, how they receive that and how they deal with that and how they live with it, and how they try to reconcile this gift with living, just living with this gift, with their gifts. I just thoroughly enjoyed this book because As a woman, this is the kind of book that we want to read as women. It's the kind of book where you see when things are difficult, how to get out of these things, that there is a way to get out of some difficult situations. And this book, you can only be rooting for the women. It's all about the women. Okay? So this book is very accessible. Looking on my tabs, was tabbing to death this book. So really good. And this is the beginning of a series of books. And the author came to my Patreon book club and spoke to the Patreon ladies. And we had an excellent conversation with Dalma. And I'm looking forward to reading Dalma's second book, which will be coming out at the beginning of next year. So get yourself Daughters of the Stone. Don't wait. Next on my list, I have The Story of a New Name by Lena Ferrante. This is the second book in the Neapolitan series. OMG. OMG. This book right here, freaking fantastic as well. I buddy read this one with Jacqueline from 6 Minutes for Me. I had read book 1 when it came out and didn't continue the series. And then she said, hey, I'm going to be reading it. You want to read it with me? I said, yeah, girl, let's read it. Come on, let's do it. OMG. So much is happening in this book right here. I'm not going to say anything detailed about this one because it is book 2. But what I am going to say is, OMG, book 2 is the roller coaster ride of your life. Okay? The roller coaster ride of your reading life. Fantastic. So fantastic. We're continuing on with the series this month. We've already read book 3 and we're getting ready to read book 4. Okay? So definitely, if you haven't picked up this series, I highly recommend it. It's a series that goes into great detail to talk about a community in Naples. And the attention to detail is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Get on it. Okay, next book on my list, I'll put it right here, is Revenge, A Murder in 3 Parts. Okay, this book I picked up because it is on the Stella Prize long list. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's gotten onto the short list. Okay, I gave this book, I think, around 3 stars. And I think it's mostly because it's one of those books that I think you're either going to like it or not. And I think this one, what happens is it kind of goes all over the place. It's basically the story of a young woman within her family. They are living in Malaysia, and the main character does not have a great relationship with her parents, nor does she have a great relationship with her brother, her older brother. And you will see as the story goes on that there are many things that happen that change the course of the life of the main character. Now, the main character is recounting the story, so everything is, is what she's seeing and feeling. So sometimes you kind of think that she could be an unreliable narrator, but sometimes she's so damn honest about some things, and she just says it, even though it's something that normally the main character should be wary about saying, but she says everything. So you can kind of go with what she says is true. But what we see is how that relationship within that family develops and changes, and what it becomes as she gets older. And it's called Revenge, A Murder in 3 Parts, because it kind of feels like 3 parts. You have her life as a young girl, then you have her life as a woman, a young woman, woman, and then you have her life later on. I'm not going to say what later on means because that would be giving you too much away, but that's just to give you the idea of the 3 parts. So would I recommend it? I would say, yeah, go ahead and give it a go. It personally didn't hit my sweet spot, but it wasn't bad. I gave it 3 stars. I thought, I think she has something going for her writing. Next book on my list is this one right here, which is Disposition. This is by Tayari Jones, and it is an audio book specifically made for Audible, so you can only buy it on Amazon Audible. So this is the story of a couple, but I would say specifically because it's from the point of view of the mother, talking about her relationship with her son. The audiobook begins with this mother talking about her relationship with her son and with her husband, and then she goes into a story which shows you what is changing or what has changed and why it has changed. Now, this one, it's not a very long listen, maybe 45 minutes or something like that. But the best thing about it is Gabrielle Union that is reading this Audible book. Now, I gave this one, I think I gave it maybe like a 2 or 3 stars. I thought it was just okay. I didn't feel like there was anything special about this story. And I felt that it was maybe a little bit too incomplete in places. But, I would say go ahead and read it if you want, but I wouldn't, use a whole credit on this audiobook. I don't think it's worth it to use a whole credit. Maybe if they're offering you to pay for it for like maybe less than what an Audible credit costs, then yeah, go ahead and pay for it for that price. But I wouldn't recommend that you actually go out and spend spend one of your good credits on this little Audible, short story. It's just not that great. Okay, next on my list, I have this one right here. The Unseen World by Liz Moore. Now, this one has been on my to be read list since back in the day, because I remember everybody was reading it at one point on BookTube, and I just and I didn't even know what the book was really about, because whenever anybody would review the book, they would never say what the book was really about. And so I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to say, read the damn book. It's really good. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I'm going to say. Liz Moore, you did that. Now, this was a book that I read in my Normandy book club here. We all had a very good time with this book. There was 5 stars from a lot of people and 4 stars from others, but there was nothing less than 4 stars. Highly recommended. So very good. Very interesting way of telling a story. This is one of those stories where you have the father-daughter relationship. So it's the father raising the daughter alone. And I was hard pressed to think about more books like that, but I did think about Another Brooklyn, because that's the same. I also thought about The Mothers. I also thought about My Absolute Darling. And then somebody else brought up Sons and Lovers. I said, oh God, I haven't read Sons and Lovers since college. So I might be doing a Sons and Lovers, a little D.H. Lawrence might be happening over here, because it's been a while. And so I was trying to think about some other ones, and I couldn't really think of any other ones where you had like the father raising the daughter that I have personally read. But yeah, really, really interesting book with makes a lot of good points about life, and just a really, something really special to read with a good, meaning and stuff like that. So I highly recommend it if you haven't read The Unseen World. I highly recommend it. It's really, really, really good. So that's it, people. That's pretty much what I read last month, and I feel like that was a really good month. I am currently doing really well on my reading. I think I'm 3 or 4 books ahead, which is pretty good for me. But the main thing is that I'm reading really, really good books, and that's the key for me. So look out for my April wrap up. Let's talk about it. What did you guys read last month? Did you read stuff that you thought, yay? Or did you think, nah? You know, let me know how your reading went last month. And are you, getting back into really good reading, or is the pandemic still getting you down? Because I know a lot of people are still struggling with that, or they go through ups and downs with their reading with this pandemic. Yeah, let's talk about it. And yeah, so look out for my next video, and happy reading to you. Bye-bye.